Hi, this is David, and today I'm going to help you with the word for money. The French word for money is argent. And what you may notice when a French person says argent is you may hear a little stop in the flow of air. Argent, argent. Do you hear kind of a stop there? Argent. After the R, argent. Or you may hear this, argent. It's less of a stop, but there's still something going on that as English speakers, as native English speakers, we have a hard time hearing or trying to figure out. It's kind of like noise for us, argent. We wonder what's going on with that little stop in this flow of air there, argent. What I'd like you to do first is we're going to get away from the English R. I want you to stop thinking about the English R for a second and just say the word, just say the sound ah. So when I do that, I have the tip of my tongue against the inside of my bottom row of teeth. I'm doing that so that I can keep the front of my tongue immobile. Keeping the tip of my tongue there is going to help remind me to keep the front of my tongue immobile. And now what I want to do to get ready to make this sound, this funny sound that we hear in French, is I want to redirect the flow of air from my mouth to my nose. And that's going to help me feel that my soft palate is back there closing down. I want you to feel your soft palate close down. So what I want you to do is say ah, and then I want you to breathe hard through your nose. Ah, ah. If I stick my finger here, and if you stick your finger right under your nose, can you feel the air going from your nose onto your finger? Ah, ah. It's almost as if you're about to sneeze or making a sneezing ah. When you do that, you can probably feel, hopefully, the soft palate closing down in the back of your throat. Or closing down in the back of your mouth. That's your soft palate. So what I want you to do now is do this. Argent. Argent. So you're making the ah sound. You're closing down your soft palate to redirect air through your nose, and then you're saying Jean. Jean. Don't do it too quickly yet. Please don't speed up and say the whole word quickly yet. I want you to make 3 different sounds. Jean. 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 So you're making 3 different sounds. Jean. You're not making an R really. Well, you're making kind of like a French R, but you're not making what you think of as an R. So you're not saying R, R. You're saying a pure sound, followed by a closing down and a redirecting of air, and then followed by Jean. 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 Now I'd like you to speed it up slowly. Jean. Argent. So if I say that quickly and I keep the full stop where I'm redirecting air, it's going to sound probably like this. Argent. 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 And now I'd like you to just smooth out. I would use the word that I want you to smooth out that redirection of air where you're dropping the soft palate so that you don't completely close down on the soft palate and completely redirect the flow of air. So it's going to be like this. Argent. 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 I'm still closing, I'm still pulling that soft palate down. Argent. Argent. And I could feel kind of a clunking feeling back in the throat. Argent. Argent. And if I speed it up and soften it up a little bit more, I can make the R a little softer. Argent. Argent. And when I slow it up, when I make it smoother and a little quicker, I can also even, if I wish, depending on the speed at which I'm speaking in French, I can even start to hear a little bit of a scratching sound that we associate as English speakers with the French R. Argent. Argent. Well, I can't really make it scratch there because of the combination of sounds before and after, but I can hear a little bit of rumbling. Argent. Argent. I can kind of roll it. I can roll it at the back of my tongue. Argent. Argent. Or I can go back to what I think of as the classic French R, where we have this kind of a breathing, stopping sound right in the middle of the word. Argent, 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 argent. The one thing to also notice this, the one thing I'd like to finish up with is the fact that your ah at the beginning remains a pure ah sound. It doesn't migrate from ah to r. So this is something that I help people with when I'm working one-on-one, and it's tough for a lot of native English speakers because there's an r in the word, and their brain, our brains as English speakers still associate the r with a back and forth tongue movement. When we see an r, our brain wants to move our tongue back to make that r. But in French, we don't need to do that. It's ah, ah, and then an r. So it's what I'll sometimes help people do is we'll work with pure sounds. The idea that the ah, I should be able to make a long ah and then close down with that soft palate without the ah changing to something else in before. So here's what I mean. If I say ah, 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 or I breathe through my nose after a long r, ah, ah, you hear ah the whole time. You don't hear a change in the ah at the end. I don't want to hear ah, ah, or ah, ah, ah. You hear two sounds there? Ah, ah. I want to hear ah all the way to the end where the sound stops. Ah, 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 ah. And so when I do that, my tongue is not moving back and forth. It's not moving at all. I get ah and then the R sound without the tongue moving back and forth in the mouth. So I'll say it one last time. Argent, argent. So now what you want to do is practice this. Maybe watch this video once or twice, and then find a French person and say, hey, how does it sound? Or can you help me out with this? Then you'll know for sure if you're saying it correctly. Have a good day.